Mice at Center Ice, Chapter 7. The Great Zamboni Machine. Benny panicked. The Zamboni machine came towards him. It had rubber tires and sparkling mag wheels. They rolled closer and closer. Benny scrambled to his feet but then fell again. It was hard to stand on the ice without skates. The Zamboni was within a whisker when it suddenly turned away from the end zone, into the end zone. Benny didn't know what to do now. He looked back at the boards to the mouse hole he had just left. 2 rink rats leered out at him. He couldn't go back the same way he came in. His best chance was to head for the other side of the rink and try to escape through the open boards. Carefully, he placed one foot in front of the other to keep from falling. The big machine continued to clear the ice. The horizontal auger shaved a few centimeters from the top, while the hot pipe released a cascade of boiling water over the newly scraped surface. The felt pad in the rear smoothed it into a mirror shine. Benny managed to stay on his feet for a couple of seconds until he reached the freshly iced path of the Zamboni. He could see his own reflection. A second later, he went sprawling. Benny slid across the wide path. How he wished for a pair of skates. But there was no time for wishing. The machine was heading for Benny again. He couldn't make it to the far side of the rink in safety. He had to think fast. Then Benny knew there was only one chance. If he jumped up on the Zamboni on the next pass, he could make it to the only safe place on the back of the machine, the steel guard covering the auger. But if he became caught between the wheels, the boiling water would scald him to death and the felt pad would scrape up his remains. Benny waited for the Zamboni to pass. At the last possible moment, he leaped into the air. He made it to the steel guard on his first jump. He clung to the edge with a great effort. He pulled himself up on the guard and huddled in the corner. Above, Benny saw the seat where the driver sat, but the man didn't notice him. The horrid, sharp-pointed steel blades continued their work. Benny began to choke and gasp from the machine's exhaust fumes. He covered his face to keep the fumes from making him sick. The whirring noise of the Zamboni struck terror in his heart. He wondered if he would ever get out of this alive. The Zamboni made 2 more trips over the rink and then headed for the gate on the far side of the Forum. Benny had never felt so hot. The sweat ran down his face, blinding his eyes. He could hardly breathe. It was like a steam bath, Benny thought. "That's it for tonight, Jake," said the driver to the man who swung open the gate. "Drop the ice in here," said Jake. As the Zamboni swung out through the wide exit, the blades and pad lifted. Below him, Benny saw a shallow pit filled with ice shavings. The driver dumped a load of ice into the pit. The man called Jake swept the loose chunks of ice onto a shovel and into the wheelbarrow. It was now or never, Benny decided. He had to make a break for it. He braced himself on the edge of the steel guard. The wheelbarrow seemed closer and less menacing than the pit where the scraped shavings were piled. He took a deep breath and jumped. Benny landed with a shock in the wheelbarrow and on a blanket of ice. The sweat froze on his body. His teeth chattered and he shivered violently. Jake now had another shovel full of ice shavings. For a moment, Benny wondered if he would have stayed with the Zamboni and taken his chances. The shovel full of ice was aiming straight at him. It hit him at once, leaving Benny breathless and shaking. Gamely, he fought his way through the snowy heap on the top and looked out. The man with the broom and shovel stared down at him.